The first question I've got, I really want to have a look at the Christchurch call and the social media companies, your message to them in May. It's now been 4 months since Christchurch. Are you satisfied with what you're hearing from social media companies on that front?
Well, of course, at the time that we signed the call, we already saw announcements out of Facebook of what they were going to do to address some of those concerns around live streaming. And so there's been some of those, the little incremental signs of work underway. The chance for leaders to check in again will be September, but it's fair to say we have expectations. I do think we have to make sure that our domestic legislation is fit for purpose as well. We identified a few areas where perhaps our legislation wasn't as fit for purpose now that we're in an online environment in terms of objectionable content. We had to use legislation that was really designed for broadcast media. And so, making sure that we do a bit of work in that space, but at the same time, having expectations though, around companies, around their social licence, to make sure that they are doing what they can and should to prevent what happened on the 15th of March ever happening again.
There's a lot of concern in the community about violence online, about the way in which social media is changing young people, changing the community.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's any place for consumer action on the issues that you've put forward about taking down violent content? Is there something consumers can do? Because you've talked about people power in the past.
Yeah.
Is this an area where there's a space for people power?
In most environments there would be, just for merely the fact that consumers can exercise their choice. I think one of the issues that we have actually is dominant players in the market where there aren't a lot of choices. And so that doesn't stop consumers from having a voice. It just means that it's not always necessarily easily executed by them choosing to leave that product. And so instead, we absolutely are reliant on both civil society and users to raise directly their expectations. I think that has had some effect. The fact that Facebook have talked more openly about the way that they're going to uphold their community standards. But this has been one of the points that we've been making. Actually, those community standards set a higher bar than probably any domestic legislation ever will. And so if the companies would do well just to actually do what they say they will do online and maintain a level of protection there for users.
In this city, there is a very large mural of you hugging a Muslim woman in Christchurch a week after the attack. Have you seen that or seen there was a photograph of it on display last night, so I presume you've seen the image.
I have seen it.
What do you think about it?
I think the artist is exceptional. Just the idea of being able to do something at such a large scale and that level of detail. Now, obviously, what happened in Christchurch for me will always be about the Muslim community that it happened to. It didn't happen to me, and so I feel a slight hesitance, therefore, to seeing those images for that, but I can also understand that it symbolises something different for everyone.
Have you had time to go back to that community and check in with them again? Because I'd be fascinated in that woman's story.
Yes. That wasn't the first image of an embrace with a member of the community. That particular photo was taken in Wellington, but there were some photo images taken the day prior, on the Saturday, where it was members of the Christchurch Muslim community. And those members I have seen multiple times since, and we've met multiple times since, and I know their stories and their backgrounds well, better than the one that was captured in Wellington. But I do hope to see her again. But that I think that what that captured really was that the Muslim community, of course, throughout New Zealand, was just obviously felt so acutely that grief on behalf of those who were directly affected as well. But I think that there's been nothing greater that has demonstrated the sense of togetherness and humanity than the response from the Muslim community who were directly affected themselves. And you will have seen some of the speeches at the memorial, particular those that were, even from those who had lost family members, moving immediately to the sense of forgiveness and compassion, which to me is incredible to see a response like that in the wake of something of that scale. And so I think they the community themselves have modelled that, yeah. And I hope the members of that community in Australia have seen that.
Yeah. And how did you feel when you were doing that hug, giving that woman a hug in that way?
I mean, on every occasion, it was always just about a human response. When you see someone that's grieving and they're right in front of you, and you feel, a huge sense of grief as well, and a huge desire to comfort the people around you. Obviously, I have lots of ways that I can do that aren't just around providing, a physical show of that comfort. My job was to comfort people through action and policy changes and that as well. But it doesn't stop you being human. So I think it was just a human reaction. I think lots of other people would have done exactly the same thing.